Hello and welcome to March in a year gardening. Now February, what a month. Very, very different in the weather. Real snow and ice and things to start the month off. And we ended up 15, 16 degrees and some lovely days where we could get some jobs done. Well, my seed potatoes are starting to sprout. My peas are growing lovely. My cabbage seedlings are coming along well. And in today's show, we're going to follow with our 3Ps, our planting, our projects, and our planning. Planting, I got those bare root trees that I mentioned, and they've arrived, and we've put those in, and I'll show you how that went on. With the projects, unfortunately, we didn't get the gate in, but we have got the herb garden well underway. And then under planning, it's basically the March to-do list. A lot of that is around seeds, but we've got our beds, borders and containers still to maintain and work on, and a bit of maintenance. And I'll show you how I've been getting on with the repair to the raised beds that I mentioned in the first show this year. So there's lots to get on with, but I'm going to start with showing you those bare root trees that I've been putting in and what we called my mini orchard. Well, here I am in what is going to be my mini orchard, and my bare root shrubs, trees have arrived. And I've got a conference pear, I've got a Braeburn apple, and I've got a Victoria plum, which are going to go into this new border. I've already got one potted apple tree, which I put in now, and so now is the time to get the bare root trees into the ground. They've been soaking since yesterday lunchtime in a pot of water, so the roots are taking on. And the thing when you get your bare root trees, let me just show you this. All of these little fibrous roots are the important ones. You don't want them to dry out and die, because they are the ones that take up the moisture and take up the goodness to enable the tree to grow. So make sure that when you get your bare roots, you give them a good soak and keep them alive until you're going to plant them. And so I'm going to dig myself a nice hole, line that with some compost, and put a little bit of fertiliser in the bottom to give it a good old chance of growing, and then get that filled in. So let's start digging. Well, I've dug the first hole, and this is going to take the Braeburn tree, and I've put some compost and some fertiliser in the ground. So let me just go and get the tree, pop that in there. Now these trees come on a grafted stock, so you can see the graft here, and we must make sure that that is above the ground when we put the soil in, because we don't want this to start rooting. We only want the grafted stock to be rooting. So let's just leave that there. Put a little bit of compost around the bottom, and fill that in. Make sure we're nice and upright. Now we'll just fill in around with some of the garden soil. Well, that's the first of three. Get the other two in. There we go. 4 trees planted, and hopefully they're going to bear fruit for us. I'm going to continue to condition this soil on here, make it nice and smooth and fine, and then I'm going to underplant this with some seeds of some summer flowering, pollinator friendly flowers, so that we will encourage the bees and the hoverflies and things into this area of the garden. Fantastic. That's one little job done. The only thing I've now got to do, make sure I soak these. I'll start off by using the water that they were in, and I'm going to give this one a really good drink. Leave that for a while, then I'll get some more water, and we'll make sure we get plenty of water down to the roots on these. Now to start, I'm now going to go and get my watering can and continue to water these in. Fantastic. Really looking forward to seeing these grow. Well, now it's time to discuss the projects, and today and tomorrow I arranged to have 2 days off from work so that I could put the gate in between my neighbour's garden and my garden to start extending the vegetable garden. However, I did not, at the time of booking the 2 days, realise that we were going to be hit by all of this snow and ice, and you can't get a spade into the ground, you can't work in these conditions, so that has had to be delayed. However, I can take you out into the garden to the area where I'm going to be putting the herb garden and show you what I'm doing there, and I think you'll enjoy what I'm doing. So here we are in the new herb garden area, still a little bit snowy, but as you can see I've made a small bracketed shelf there to take one of the pots, and I'm now going to fit that on, and then there'll be one pot higher up and one pot lower down. Well, now I've just got to get one more pot fitted up, cut the brackets for that, put that in, but that's how our little herb garden is going to look. 4 long troughs and the pot in the middle with the pot at the top. I'll just put a couple of screws through the pot as well so that it doesn't get knocked and fall off onto the floor and damage the plants underneath, and obviously the plants that are inside. But generally, herb garden is coming along, even in the snow. Well, I'm back here with the herbs in what's going to be the herb garden, and I just thought I'd show you how I do the brackets to support the upper pots. And I've cut a couple of pieces of pallet with a shape out of it, and I've pre-drilled to take the front screw, so that can just fit in here. The shelf will go over the top, and then the pot will fit on top of that. So that's what I'm going to do now. Nicely on here, ready to take my compost and some more herbs. Then all I've got to do is put some drainage into the pot here, and that is going to fit nicely in the middle and create our little herb garden area. Very pleased with that. Well, I think you'll agree with me that the herb garden is going to be quite an interesting little area. It'll be lovely scents and smells whilst we are sitting having our afternoon tea on the little decking out there. Now, that's all I can do with projects at the moment, so I'm actually going to sort some new timing out for the month of March so that I can update myself and get this gate put in the fence. Well, March is a brilliant time. It's the time when we really do crack on in the garden. we're now into spring and we're enjoying ourselves. Seed time. Check the back of your packets. Look at this one, it says sow from March. That's what we're going to be doing, sowing lots of seeds. Some of it under glass, some of it will be going straight into the ground. It's a really good time to check on your pots. This one I planted with some tulips back in November, all coming through nicely. Worth checking your pots, and those that haven't been planting up, make sure they're nice and clean and ready for your planting. Another little job for March is to get our containers sorted out. Now these I'm going to be mounting on the wall. I've got two to go underneath the window here, and I'm going to plant some nice decorative summer pretty flowers in there just to brighten the wall up. Now in order to get these nice and centre, I've just hung a little string here with a piece of blue tack on the bottom just to get the centre there, and then I've marked up the two holes measuring down from the windowsill, because you can't guarantee this is level and everyone sees this by their eyes, so this will be level with the windowsill. So I'm just going to get my drill and start putting those holes in. Now these holes in the back of this are going to be just too small to take this screw through, so I'm going to be fixing that through the basket. I'll move that out of the way now, and what I'm going to do is just put these screws in gently. Position, lovely. And that's fitted on the wall nicely. Now these come with a liner, but the liner is a matting type, and if I'm going to be putting compost and plants in there, I need to soak that in water before I put that in there, and that'll be a good job. So we'll see these once they've got flowers in them. Keep on top of those borders and make sure that the weeds are not coming back through. Where they are, clear them out. And do make sure your beds are ready to receive the seeds when they're starting to grow. So I just started putting out my bean supports, and they're in the ground there, and yes, about 8 foot tall, which would be perfect for my climbing beans. Well, it won't be long until it's time to plant the potatoes, and as I said when I was putting up the polytunnel here, this particular bed had completely collapsed, so I've been rebuilding it, and I've got, well, three and a bit sides of it built, and I've now realised it is much easier to build a new raised bed than it is to repair an old one. But I'm cracking on with this, and I should have this done by the weekend. Lovely jubbly. Well, that brings us to the end of March's edition of A Year Gardening 2021. I must say we've achieved quite a lot in today's show. We've been through the planting of the bare root trees. We've been through the projects, and it's a bit of a shame we haven't got that gate in the fence yet, but I've got a couple of days planned off during March now to get that little job done. But the herb garden is coming on really nicely, and we've got some seeds planted ready to put in there. We've also been through the planning and a few jobs that we have to do during March, and one of the main ones, we're now heading into spring. It's seeds and getting everything growing for this year. And I'm sure, like me, you're looking forward to those longer days, the warmer evenings. Following the strange month that February has been, remembering we had that -5, -6 degrees, all the snow and the ice and everything to start the month, and we ended the month with 15, 16 degrees. What a contrast that has been. But anyway, I'm going to leave you today with a little glass of Spitfire, which is a lovely Kentish ale, first brewed in 1990 for the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Britain, and named after the iconic aircraft by the oldest brewer in Kent, Shepherd Neames.
and it was meant to be a one-off beer, but proved so popular they've kept making it, and I'm so glad they have, because I really, really like it. So I'll leave you with a few nice words, I hope. Please stay well, stay safe, be kind to each other, and happy gardening. Cheers.